Hello everyone, and welcome to another of FreeEN's how-to videos. The purpose of these videos is to give a quick refresher on some common NetSuite queries that we receive often from our clients. The aim of these videos will serve as a reminder or a reference point to look back on if you find yourself needing help with different functionalities within NetSuite. This month we have an exciting topic, which is a high-level view on roles and permissions. Before we start looking at roles and permissions, let's ask the question, what is a role and what is a permission? Roles and permissions are how NetSuite controls what functions or records a user can or can't access. A role is defined as a group of permissions or restrictions, usually given around the functional role of each user. And a permission is the right to access one or more system objects. So really, a role is just a group of permissions. Roles can be assigned to any user or user group, and a user or user group can have more than one role. Now, we can start to have a look at roles and permissions. And to do that, we go to Setup, Users, Roles, and then we can click on Manage Roles. The Manage Roles page provides you with a list of all the roles you have active in your system. Some are custom and some are standard. The custom ones have been customized by clicking on the Customize button on the left hand side here. What we will do is we will look at customizing the AP clerk role. So this is a standard role, and by clicking on Customize, it then acts as a Save As. We do recommend that you customize an existing role. So click on a standard role, click Customize, and then go for the closest one possible to the role you want to create. This therefore saves a lot more time when it comes to testing a role, as if you create one from scratch, you'll be testing it for quite a while, testing all the functions and functionality and records. Firstly, what you have to do is give our role a name. I'm going to call it AP Clerk 3EN. The general section here is where you start defining the role. You can start adding restrictions to employee records, define the role that it is, the sales, support, or partner role. The one thing I do want to bring to your attention is the Core Administration Permissions button. This is useful in giving someone a role that acts like an administrator but without all the permissions that come with it. So, for example, someone could act as an administrator, setting password changes when the actual administrator could possibly be on leave. Next we have subsidiary restrictions, and this is basically what subsidiaries can the role have access to. Is it just the user's own subsidiary? Is it all of them, or just active, or a selected view? Next section we look at is authentication, and this defines the level of security for an authentication when the user logs on. So you could require two-factor authentication if you have single sign-on, or you could restrict this role by a certain device only. Now we are looking at permissions. And so permissions is where you give a role access to a particular function in NetSuite. Permissions is divided into 5 sections: transactions, reports, lists, setup, and custom records. The permissions are available in a drop down at the bottom of the screen, and as you can see, it is quite an extensive list, which is always why we recommend creating a new role by customizing another one, as there is a lot of options available for you to test. If you add a permission, so for this one it's in the company adjustments, you can then give it a level of access, which is view, only be able to view the record, create, input an in-company adjustment, edit the record, or full, which is all of the above. Clicking add then adds this permission to the role. So this role, the AP clerk, will now be able to view intercompany adjustments. The same functionality works across all of the sub-headings. A little tip on how to find the permission you need is to have the link of the page you are trying to access from someone who might already have it. And then whilst you're already in your role, copy the link into your web browser, and then what you will find is that you will be given a permission violation. So for this link, I need the permission list clients. So what I can then do is go back to my role that I am creating and find the permission which will allow me access to this page. Once you have finished looking at permissions and looked at transactions, reports, lists, setup and custom records, you can then move on to restrictions, where you can look to restrict a role's access to transaction, employee, partner, and optionally item records. Preferred forms can be set, where a certain form can be restricted, and this can be done for all sorts of forms available, like transaction, item, custom records. Searches can be set to saved search definitions to be used as defaults in search forms, results, list views, and dashboards for a role. You can even restrict search availability. Role-based preferences can be set, but this won't override a user's choice if this conflicts with a user's preference. A particular dashboard can be published against a particular role, and publishing dashboards can only be done from the Publish Dashboard link in the Home Settings portal. This was actually covered in our first how-to video, so please check that out for more information on publishing dashboards. Finally, we have translation, and this looks at translating custom role names into languages that have been set up as company preferences. Though to do this you will need the multi-language feature enabled in your account for this. And there we have it. That was a high-level look into roles and permissions. This topic can go into a lot more detail. If you would like to see more on roles and permissions, like, subscribe and leave a message down below. Other than that, we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you and goodbye.